everybody. Welcome to the Joy Reid Show. I'm hoping that I can hear, but I definitely didn't hear the music. But I saw it, so I'm gonna accept and believe that it was there because I could visually see it, though I couldn't hear it. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody is well. We got a big show tonight. Afton Ben, who's the candidate everybody's talking about in Tennessee, is going to be here later on in the show. I'm really excited about that. But it has been a big news Monday, so I'm going to jump right into it. Before that, I'm going to wish everyone on YouTube, Substack, the various podcast platforms, a big hello. Hi-oh. Hello to everybody in the chat. Y'all guys are already getting it in. I love that. And your numbers are growing rapidly. We are surging in subscribers, and we're super appreciative of every single one of you. But that also comes with some downsides, meaning trolling. So to make our life a little bit easier, make life easier for you guys, to make the chat more fun for you to be in, to make the environment better for all of you, and also to make things easier for our wonderful moderators, we're going to shift to subscribers only in the chat because we want to make sure that the chat is troll-free as possible, because there's nothing worse than having a maybe foreign bot or just a troll jump in and start messing with the chat. So we're going to do that. Let us know how that works for you guys. If you want to chat, that means you have to subscribe. So not only am I going to do my usual, please subscribe, help us with the algorithm, please hit like and share. Also, if you want to chat and you want to interact, you have to be a subscriber on YouTube. That's already the case on Substack. And I can tell you the Substack chats are a lot more fun because they are troll free. And so we're going to do the same thing over here. Only subscribers can chat. So that's the housekeeping that I want to do today. Don't be a lurker. Definitely don't be a troll. Nobody likes trolls. So let's get to the news. We have a lot of it. First up, the earth is healing, meaning the fundamental falsity and phoniness of MAGA is starting to show through the cracks, and the faith is kind of cracking up. Item. A federal judge has thrown out the criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, concluding that President Donald Trump's handpicked prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, was illegally appointed to the role when she single-handedly secured the indictments. U.S. District Judge Cameron Curry concluded that Halligan's appointment as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia violated laws that limit the ability of the Justice Department to install top prosecutors without Senate confirmation. You'll recall that Halligan is the MAGA face photocopy. She basically looks just like all the rest of them. Big hair, same plastic surgery. I don't know if it's plastic surgery, but it kind of looks like it. Her previous role, as you will recall, was to root out the annoying slavery in America's museums. She's like an insurance lawyer or something with no actual prosecutorial experience, but she has the right look to make Trump hire her. So she suddenly got literally just appointed illegally as a U.S. attorney with no Senate confirmation, because no actual credible prosecutor would bring a case against James Comey or Letitia James for the made-up crimes that Trump wants them prosecuted for. So he just installed her. He's like, come off of museum duty and go do this. And she did it with no prosecutors in the room, no one willing to walk with her, walking alone. Well, now a judge has said, yeah, the whole thing was bollocks. She can't be the prosecutor. Here's what the judge said. This is Politico quoting the judge. Ms. Halligan has been unlawfully serving in that role since September 22, 2025. He concluded in opinion simultaneously filed Monday in both cases. All actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment constitute unlawful exercise of executive power and must be set aside. Now, Curry did dismiss the case without prejudice, meaning prosecutors could attempt to obtain new grand jury indictments in each of these cases. However, in the Comey case, his attorneys have already indicated they're going to argue he can't be reindicted because the statute of limitations on his case actually expired on September 30th. And Curry agreed that the deadline had already passed without a valid indictment. So the Comey case is probably DOA, although Trump and them don't believe in the law, so they'll probably just do whatever. It's a huge rebuke of this rushed effort by the Justice Department and Pamela Joe to force indictments of Donald Trump's claimed political adversaries. So that's a big whoopsie. Meanwhile, pretend MAGA Marco Rubio is in the shitter for apparently hand-delivering Vladimir Putin's peace plan to the Ukrainians, after which Trump called the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ungrateful for not accepting it. Now, you will recall that last week on this very program, Lev Parnas told you that Putin wrote the so-called peace deal that leaked over the weekend. Well, now apparently Marco Rubio, he kind of admitted it. Roll tape of Rubio.
So has Ukraine has Ukraine indicated to you that it's prepared to compromise, for instance, some of those key issues like territory in exchange for peace with Russia? Have they suggested that they are prepared?
Well, I'm not going to look. It's not because for purposes of evasion. It's just I'm not going to get into the details of the topics that were discussed because this is an ongoing process. What is important to understand and how these things work is you have to, in order to have a proposal, you have to write it. You know, if it's just verbal, it's in the air. You have to put it down on a piece of paper, and just because it's printed on a piece of paper doesn't indicate finality. So you get input, and based on that input, you make adjustments, and then you get more input, or you make a counteroffer, and you get more adjustments. That's an ongoing process. There's a lot more of that to happen. So I'm not going to speculate or go into the details of any of the specific items in the latest version of the proposal because, frankly, by tomorrow or the next day, that may have evolved and changed further. And but I can tell you, I guess that I feel very optimistic that we can get something done here because we made a tremendous amount of progress today.
What are you going to tell President Trump about the attitude of Ukrainians during these negotiations?
Oh, it was very positive. I'm telling you, today was the most productive day we have had.
They were ungrateful earlier.
Well, today, and we've talked to him since, I think he's quite pleased at the reports we've given him about the amount of progress that's been made. Well, obviously the Russians get a vote here, right? So, I mean, look, we began from the early stage of this process with our understanding of the Russian position as had been communicated to us in numerous ways. At the State Department, we received numerous written non-papers and things of this nature, also verbally, things they've discussed over time and so forth. So it was, no matter what we came up with today, obviously we now have to take what we come up with if we can reach that agreement with the Ukrainian side to the Russian side. That's another part of this equation.
You said you received some, what now, written? You said you received some things written and verbally at the State Department, Marco Rubio? Okay, check, and double check. The Russians wrote the peace deal. You guys received it, and then you guys did like edits. Did you guys like mark it up and put like red marks on it to like correct the spelling? What exactly did you guys do to edit this? Let's go to what the actual members of Congress, because United States House and Senate, they're actually supposed to be involved in these kind of things. And a bipartisan group of senators who were on their way to an international security conference over the weekend, they tried to clean up the mess that your Secretary of State has made of the whole Ukraine-Russia war mess. Here they are cleaning up, saying that Marco Rubio assured them in a phone call on their way to this meeting that the leaked document was a Russian proposal, not an American proposal, and that proposal does not represent the Trump administration position. And I just want to remind you what that proposal said that looked like from Rubio's earlier statements that we wrote it, that effectively Russia would get to keep all the territory they currently occupied, plus territory they don't occupy. They would get back into the G8. Russia could go back into the group of 8 nations, and they would get rid of sanctions, basically meaning Russia gets everything they ever wanted. Now Rubio is trying to wheel back and say, whoa, that was like sent to us in like a memo, wasn't our real thing. Here's Senator Mike Rounds speaking for the group, trying to clean it up.
Secretary Rubio did make a phone call to us this afternoon. I think he made it very clear to us that we are the recipients of a proposal that was delivered to one of our representatives. It is not our recommendation. It is not our peace plan. It is a proposal that was received, and as an intermediary, we have made arrangements to share it, and we did not release it. It was leaked. It was not released by our members or our representatives.
So meaning it kind of leaked, and it looked like basically Putin was cornering the United States by leaking a deal that completely serves Russian interests. And Trump is like, how ungrateful of the Ukrainians not to do it. But he's not a tool of Russia at all. Meanwhile, anywhoomst, folk call them pitiful in the chat. You're absolutely right. Like pitiful. Somebody in the chat saying, this is Bourbon Girl saying, or Berber Girl saying Rubio is in over his head. It wouldn't surprise me if he was replaced. You got to find someone with the look. The Pentagon, meanwhile, is apparently attempting to investigate, get this, Senator Mike Kelly, over that PSA that we played you on our previous show that a half a dozen military veteran House and Senate members made, reminding servicemen that they are not to follow illegal orders, which is literally just like legally the law, right? Here are the threats that were made, of course, via ex-Twitter. The Department of War, which they cosplay as, it's really Department of Defense, have received serious allegations of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelly. He's of USN, retired in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And then they name a bunch of laws and other applicable regulations. A thorough review of these allegations has been initiated to determine actions which may include recall to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures. This matter will be handled in compliance with military law, ensuring due process and impartiality. Further official comments will be limited to preserve the integrity of the proceedings. There's another part to it. Yeah, this is what they're actually posting. Like, this is the way that they now run the military. They run it on Twitter. Part 2. The Department of War reminds all individuals and military retirees remain subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice for applicable offenses and federal laws such as 18 U.S.C. 2387 prohibit actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. Any violations will be addressed through appropriate legal channels. All service members are reminded that they have a legal obligation under the UCMJ to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. A service member's personal philosophy does not justify or excuse the disobedience of an otherwise lawful order. Now, nothing in that PSA that those military veterans made says anything different than what was in those tweets. They literally said, you only have to follow lawful orders. If you have an unlawful order, the Uniform Code of Military Justice actually says you may not follow it. Remember, the Nuremberg trials were a lot of Nazis saying I was just following orders. But they're focusing on Kelly, the senator. They've decided to pick one high-profile guy who's also an astronaut to try to make an example of him. Interesting. Okay. So I tee those up I want to focus for a moment on the absolute phoniness of MAGA in general. I mean, it pretends to be patriotic, but it attacks military veterans for asserting that illegal orders are not to be followed, all on behalf of a draft Dodger president whose bone spurs have apparently morphed into cankles, and who, as you heard last week from Dr. Robert Gardner, is likely descending into dementia. Their supposed peace deals are just Epstein files compromat-fueled service to Trump's puppeteer in Russia. And even their populism and promises to heal the economy and make life affordable. Bullshit. Trump isn't even honest about calling Zoran Mamdani a communist. He only says it to entertain his idiot base. When Mamdani is literally right in front of him, he kisses his ass, just like he hugs up to the Saudis. Bone sawing an American resident journalist notwithstanding. If you give him cash, if you're nice to him, he loves you. In fact, his whole mental state is premised around who he thinks likes him. Whether it's him being owned by Zoran Mamdani, which he was last week. Here's a clip of that.
We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people. Starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat him easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built and food and prices. And the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York.
It's going to be good for New York, yeah. And Mamdani over the weekend on Meet the Press still called him a fascist. Like, without a hesitation. Okay. He also, pretends that all is well between him and Palestine. Here's that video.
Sorry, which one is it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And will you visit Damascus?
Are you from Syria?
No, but
Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine.
Oh, making a lot of progress, huh? They like me. The Palestinians like me.
Oh, they like you.
Palestinians are doing very well, actually. I think we're working very closely with a lot of people that make everybody happy, including Israel, the Palestinians, and everybody. That's very interesting.
Okay. Nope. They're not doing very well. Their entirety of Gaza is bombed and decimated and is dust. And 70,000 some odd people are dead, and that's just the ones we know about, and most of them are kids. So no, they don't like you, man. And they're not doing very well. And, he just, his whole mental state centers around that. It's like, they like me, therefore I like them. I called this guy a Muslim communist, but now he likes me, therefore I like him. The Palestinians like me, therefore I like them. And then they're the people he thinks don't like him or are being mean to him by asking him questions. Here's A8, how those people get treated.
Yeah, if there's nothing incriminating in the file, sir, why are you acting as if...
Yeah, they get quiet, piggy. Which brings me to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who Trump used to like a lot, especially when she was canoodling with him and his insurrectionist friends back on January 5th, 2021, to help him plot to stay in office despite getting beat like he stole something by Joe Biden.
Just finished with our meetings here at the White House this afternoon. We had a great planning session for our January 6th objection. We aren't going to let this election be stolen by Joe Biden and the Democrats. President Trump won by a landslide. Call your House reps, call your senators from your states. We've got to make sure they're on board, and we already have a lot of people engaged. Okay, stay tuned.
Thanks, Marge. Well, nowadays, Trump doesn't like her so much anymore. He's even given her a new nickname to sport in addition to Bleach Blonde, Bad Build Butch Body, courtesy of Jasmine Crockett. Trump is now calling her Marjorie Taylor Brown. Marjorie Taylor Brown, because he claims she's brown-nosing the libs or something. He says that she's one of the losers with Rand Paul, and then he calls Representative Massey Rand Paul Jr., Marjorie Taylor Brown, and a couple other lowlifes. The fact that many want the filibuster terminated, lowlifes. And he's calling her Marjorie Taylor Brown for daring to defy him by joining the discharge petition to release the Epstein files. Now, Marjorie has fired back to the point of even making a surprise Friday announcement that she is leaving Congress as of January 5th. I'm going to play you about a minute of her video, which accompanied her exit announcement, which originally posted via Twitter. This is A11.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher. Corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts. American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas.
Let me know when.
Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream.
Okay. So, she certainly has perfected the, I'm every woman act. I'm just, shucks. I'm just a little old gosh darn normal American. But, something about that ordinary gal act has just not been sitting right in my spirit. And I thought about it over the weekend because something about it was just not feeling right to me. And let me go through a few of the things that are making it seem a little inauthentic. Number one, the timing. Marjorie timed her exit really carefully. AOC pointed this out, and I think it's really important to repeat it. Ellie Mastal said it on our live last week. She timed her exit so that she will be fully vested for her congressional pension. She fully vests on January 6th. That's the 5-year anniversary of when she walked out of that meeting with Trump and his fellow insurrectionists 2 days after she was sworn in as a troll turned Congresswoman. So she fully gets to be vested. According to the National Taxpayers Union Foundation, under federal law, members of Congress qualify for a pension funded in part with taxpayer contributions only after completing 5 full years of service. Greene began serving on January 3rd, 2021. That's 2 days before that video that I showed you. And her departure date leaves her with 1,829 days of service. That's 5 years and 3 days, just enough to meet the eligibility threshold. Her pension would start at $8,717 at age 62. I think she's 51 now. And based on actuarial data, could total more than $265,000 over her lifetime. So the timing of her exit works out pretty well for her financially. And Marge came into office, she was already in a solid place financially. She and her ex-husband bought out her father's construction company, for which they took out a PPP loan during the pandemic, which has been fully forgiven. There it is, $183,000+ in forgiven loans from the SBA. And she got that despite Greer herself opposing the same deal for people with student loans. She called relieving student debt unfair. And she's just one of several Republican members of Congress to take advantage of that sweet deal, courtesy of you, the taxpayer. A bunch of Republicans took advantage of that deal. A14 will show you a list of a few of them. There they are. Matt Gaetz took advantage of it. He got the biggest check, $476,000, and he bounced after he didn't get to be secretary because he didn't get to be attorney general. You go down the list. Vern Buchanan, who's actually already pretty rich, he got $2.8 million. Actually, he got a lot. Roger Williams of Texas got $1.43 million. You see where I'm going here? All these Republicans, they ate off of the government teeth. They were all sucking down that money. And in addition to the money that she got free from the SBA, Marge has really done well in the stock market over her 5 short years in Congress. According to this site called Quiver Quantitative, which tracks the stock trades of elected officials, Marjorie Taylor Greene's net worth has ballooned from an estimated $700,000 when she walked into Congress to an estimated $25 million today. Now, this is not my data. This is Quiver Quantitative's data, but it's showing her net worth skyrocketing based on a lot of trading activity, like really heavy trading volume. If you look at her trading activity, if you go on that site, you'll see that she had this interesting spike this year, right? Including what appear to be trades in Bitcoin and the online security company CrowdStrike. So she trades a lot and she's made a lot of money. A16 will show you the trading volume. And Marge, like so many members, is doing these investments. There you go. Look at that spike at the end. You see that little chart at the end? She ballooned. She trades a lot. And Marge, like so many members, is doing these investments because there is no law that bars members of Congress from buying stock in companies that they may be passing laws to regulate. She's far from alone in playing the market while also making the laws. But Greer also sits on some pretty heavy-hitting committees. Her committee assignments include the House Committee on Homeland Security, the Subcommittee on Counterterrorism and Intelligence, the Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, and Accountability. Those are just some of her committees. Did I mention that CrowdStrike investment? There's our committees. She also is the chairwoman of the Subcommittee on Delivering on Government Efficiency, aka DOGE, meaning the committee whose job it is to make the Elon Musk DOGE cuts into law. And by the way, without notice, another thing happened this past week that a lot of people didn't pay much attention to. DOGE, the thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene sits on the committee to make their cuts into law, it went poof. It got doged. It went away. Voila. Just as quickly as it swept in to destroy the federal government, the fake agency is gone. It's disappeared, just like Marjorie's congressional career soon will also do. DOGE disappeared after accomplishing its mission, right? Elon got our data. His DOGE kids got federal paychecks and probably also our data. And now Marge and DOGE can move on to lucrative podcast careers or whatever it is they want to do. Bank heist complete. We're also going to get definitive data on how much loot Marge has actually collected whilst in Congress, because she still has to file a financial disclosure, even though she's leaving on January 5th, that on May 15th, she has to file a financial disclosure. Those are the rules. And she's still also required as a member of Congress to disclose her stock trades no more than 45 days after each trade. And that's how that company got her data, right? And Marjorie, even with $25 million net worth, she's not even close to the richest member of Congress. Not even close. Look at this, also from this Quiver Quantitative. Jim Justice, the governor turned senator from largely impoverished West Virginia, is worth $644 million. Rick Scott, whose healthcare company pleaded out to record Medicaid and Medicare and TRICARE fraud before Florida elected him governor and then senator, he's worth north of $500 million. But as part of the multi-millionaires club, Marge definitely benefited personally from that permanent Trump tax cut that she and her fellow Republicans universally voted to give to their rich donors and in many cases to themselves. No wonder they called it big and beautiful. It was certainly beautiful for them. And while she complains a lot about what her kidults cannot afford when it comes to healthcare, that supposedly beautiful bill that she voted for gutted not just $1 trillion out of Medicaid, nearly $1 trillion out of Medicaid, hurting the poor and rural people like those in her supposedly beloved constituency in her rural Georgia district, but also hurt her kids by killing the Obamacare premium supports that made healthcare coverage affordable for them and other people who don't have $25 million in stock wealth like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, and yes, there's a shakeout happening in MAGA between the pro and anti-Israel iterations and a breach over the Epstein files and all that. But the real story here is the grift that keeps on grifting. And sorry, but Marjorie is all a part of it. Joining me now to discuss all the things, Christina Greer, Associate Professor of Political Science at Fordham University, Lincoln Center Manhattan campus, and co-host of the FAQ NYC Politics podcast. And Rick Wilson, I don't know if Rick is here yet. Ricky Wilson, there he is, Ricky Wilson, my pal.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend, political and media strategist, and the fun guy from the Lincoln Project. I call you the fun guy from the Lincoln Project. I'm going to start with you first, Rick, because I heard that she was leaving and I thought, oh, she's running for Senate. Then AOC disabused me of that. I was like, oh, maybe she's running for governor. You know, I guess Trump talked her down from those things. That's what AOC's tea is. But to me, it looks like she took the cash and bounced.
You know, look, I saw a lot of people taking the bait. Like, she's on our side now. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an opportunist of the highest order. And like Trump, she's not an intellectual. She's not like a bright person. She's not like Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't think in like a 10-year strategic plan. She's crafty, and she's kept some options open for someday in this this world she imagines where Trump is gone someday. But the combination of the pension vesting and the fact that she's now made more money than she ever thought she was going to make in her life, and she could retire right now and live off what her stock investments throw off. Oh, come on. Yeah. You know, that's Occam's razor of politically shitty people.
Exactly. I mean, and she's not alone. Chrissy, I don't want you to think I'm just picking on her. There's a congressman named Bresnahan who literally dumped stock after investing. Basically, he bet against Medicaid in the stock market. Right. And now he's going to reap money off that. Like, they're literally cutting Medicaid, betting on its downfall and investing accordingly because they know they're cutting Medicaid, Christina.
Yeah. And so, you know, our colleague Clay Kane wrote a book called The Grift. And, you know, it's so blatant. And then we ask ourselves, why is it that people aren't interested in politics? No. And the catch-22 is the people who would make the rules to make sure that they don't enrich themselves are the same people who are enriching themselves. So, you know, when my students ask, like, why don't we have age limits for members of Congress? It's like, well, the people who would actually vote to say 70 or 75 is the age limit are the septuagenarians and the octogenarians who would essentially be writing, you know, the notice to get themselves unemployed. So it's the same thing about this betting on the stock market. You know, in the past, I mean, when things weren't as complicated, I guess you will, with crypto and all these other things, we know that people did this, especially when it was majority white men. I mean, that's how they enriched themselves and that's how they got there in the first place. And it's they and their friends sort of kept this cycle going. But now when you have a president whose taxes we still have not seen, right? We've gone so far from Jimmy Carter selling that poor peanut farm to a president who at first we thought, remember, Joy, I remember talking to you about this on your show about the Trump Hotel. We thought that was the most egregious sort of money grab that we saw in Washington, D.C. It was so blatant, you know, it wasn't this insider-outsider trading that Martha Stewart got caught holding the bag for. But now it's just, well, why not? It's sort of like doping. If everyone else is doing it, are you going to be the one fool who's not doing it? And a lot of members of Congress are like, no, I'm not. I'm actually going to do it.
I mean, you've got Kristi Noem apparently directing Rick, you know, money to a firm that she's connected to. She's got all of this. She's going on every fun vacation with her boyfriend during her job. You know, I have to play this video. This is A23, Jason, whenever you get it. She and Kash Patel are like partying it up
in Vegas.
They are dying. And Castro is making, federal law enforcement protect his girlfriend, flying her around on federal. What is happening? Go ahead, Rick. Oh,
Look, the corruption of this administration is a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
The corruption of this administration is so extensive in so many ways that again, as Christina pointed out, it's like, oh, we thought the Trump hotel was bad. Add a zero after whatever they made. We're talking, the corruption's now in the billions, not in the millions. And so I think that one of the things we got to look at in the coming campaign cycle, if I'm a Democratic candidate, I know Republicans and Democrats both do this, folks. Nobody's got clean hands on the stock trading in Congress. But if you're a Democrat running, just say it right now. I won't trade stocks when I'm in Congress.
Right.
I'll have a 401k and I'll let somebody else manage it. I'll do a blind trust, whatever it is. I will not fiddle with stock trades because the corruption in Washington is what's causing the things that Trump is doing are very bad. But the other stuff in Washington where nothing gets done, it's part of that. It's part of these people thinking, I don't want to make any lobbyists mad because I might want a job with them after. Yeah. I don't want to screw up a stock trade I'm going to do, on this defense contractor because, I'm going to make a good amount of money on it. Mm-hmm. It's all got to stop. We got to clean up our house. And Democrats need to clean up their house in advance so we can hang it around the necks of these Republican candidates that are running scared.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why, Ossoff in Georgia, he's really put a lot of his, sort of leverage behind pushing the Stock Act and bar this, and it's kept him clean of a lot of this stuff, And Christina, it is a thing where MAGA on the outside looks like its main purpose is like racism, right? And it looks like, or neo-Nazism or whatever, and that is starting more and more to feel like that's just the selling points to people who don't really pay attention to politics, but really hate brown immigrants, right? What's really happening behind the scenes is while they are doing these performatively incredibly cruel things to brown and black people and making black people all get unemployed because that just makes their base feel good, behind the scenes, it's just theft. It's just a bank robbery. They're just, from Trump on down, they're just cleaning out the bank.
Well, Joy, this is my favorite LBJ quote that I paraphrase all the time. You're my favorite president. But he says, if you can convince the poorest white man that he's better than the Negro, then you can pick his pockets all day long. He says, hell, he'll even open up his pockets for you and empty them for you. And we've seen this time and time again, whether it's gun control, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing subsidies, you name it. All Republicans have done to their base is say the boogeyman is this, right? Mm-hmm. These immigrants have taken your jobs. Before it was these black people took your jobs. They're getting a little uppity. You saw Barack Obama and the cadre of educated black people he had around them. Now we had Kamala Harris. So these fears have everyone focusing over here while your life hasn't gotten better. Your children aren't safer in school. You don't have better job prospects. You don't have factories that are staying. You don't have an ability to buy a house. And you can blame it on everybody, but you're not blaming it on the Republican Party that's constantly enriching themselves and making laws to keep you poor. So this idea that MAGA Republicans, that faction has now become the large part of the party, it's an old trope that has just been exacerbated. And you just have more and more people where it's like, but you should know better. Like, you're not actually sort of some super uneducated rural person who's always voted, for the Republican Party in the last 50 years. It's like, you work in a factory. You have a middle-class job, but you're going to vote against your own, you're going to vote against your own potential health care because they just said, we're giving it to quote unquote illegals, which you have to know is not true. It's just not true. Yeah, but you'd rather have nothing. And sorry, Joy, just the last point. Yeah. We saw this constantly with the civil rights movement in the past 75 years. When, as social scientists, political scientists, we see this with data all the time. When we ask white Americans, do you want some sort of additive policy, whether it's better schools or gun control or healthcare or whatever it is, housing subsidies, and they're like, yes. It's like, okay, great. So we can do that for everyone. It's like, never mind, forget it. I'd rather have nothing. So it's like, so you'd rather have, if we know that Blacks and Latinos and Asians and the American people are going to get this this benefit, whatever this policy is, you would rather have nothing at all than to make sure it's for everyone. And they're like, yeah, I would.
Well, then how do we break that, Rick? I mean, because you're the message man here. Because the point is, I was just watching Harry Enton. He's quite entertaining, by the way.
Yes,
very enthusiastic.
Harry's like born again showbiz lately.
He really is, and he was doing his Harry Enton act about how crappy everyone agrees the economy is, and this includes Republicans who are now also over 50% blame Trump. So now we have this golden moment where everyone hates the economy unless they're really, really rich. How do Democrats message this in a way that gets people to actually finally punish the people who are stealing? How do we get them to stop the steal?
We have to take the thing that empowered Donald Trump. Way back in 2016, there was a belief that he was uncorruptible and that he would be the one who would stop Washington's corrupt politics. And that was something that a lot of those MAGA voters, they thought he was rich. They thought he was smart. They thought he would do this magical trick where he'd be the one guy that Washington couldn't corrupt. Well, what he was really was the most corrupt person who would ever sit in the Oval Office. And I mean that by including Ulysses Grant and Grover Cleveland.
Don't Ulysses Grant. I like Ulysses Grant.
I know, but not better on the battlefield than in the Oval. But long story short, they now know that this guy is there in Washington pumping the country dry, giving our struggling billionaire class a huge tax cut while screwing them. The tariff war is where I think the Democrats can make a lot of traction here, because that was something that he's made money off of it. They've gotten screwed. Farmers, factory workers, all across this country. And Democrats need to go in there, I would say, not with a suite of like long, fancy policy, slide decks, PowerPoints, but go in there and say, we're going to clean this shit up. We're going to get people back to work. A lot of the things that a Joe Biden figure was able to do in 2020, set aside all Biden's failings, but Joe Biden connected with working white men. And, we were able to scooch out a few of those victories. But being back there talking to everybody now, black, white, Hispanic, everybody, we're going to stop this crazy stuff that's killing this country. We're going to stop zip tying kids on the streets. We're going to stop breaking up families. We're going to stop taking people who came here to work and sending them to countries they've never lived in. We're going to cut it all out. We're going to stop it. We're going to slam the brakes on it because America needs to get back to work. And there's no world in which you're going to break through to MAGA unless they feel pain. And this last thing with the shutdown, every single poll, Democrats made a mistake ending it, but okay, we'll set that aside. Every single poll blamed the Republicans. I'll tell you why. And that MAGAs don't want to tell you this, but you know what? A higher percentage of those people in red states and red districts were on SNAP.
Yeah.
And Medicare and Medicaid.
Black people know that, Rick.
I know. Listen. They want to pretend that doesn't exist. They're always like, well, if it makes those black people work. That one MAGA guy that went on Fox Business and said, well, a hungry dog will be obedient. I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? What world are you living in, pal? But this idea, I think there's a moment for Democrats to be straightforward, simple language, direct. You talk about the way that this government has hurt them to pay for Elon Musk to own an 8th private jet. That motherfucker, that guy owns 8 private jets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a world where we get to finally invert the class warfare garbage they've been shoveling down the throats of these Republican and rural voters for 40 years. We get to invert that class war where they're always like, well, you don't have anything that you want because we're giving it all to those poor people. Now they feel poor because Trump has made them poor.
Well,
yeah.
Those of us who are from New York, we know that he's tanked every business he's ever touched. I mean, how can you tank a casino? Like, it's casinos. Like, it's nothing but people giving you money and somehow
certain.
Right. That you're going to make money.
Mathematically certain.
He's destroyed Atlantic City. Like, he's destroyed a whole town, to say nothing of his businesses in New York.
And every other thing, Trump vodka, Trump vitamins, Trump everything. It's all garbage.
The steaks, the phones, the water. Everything. But I think also, Joy, Democrats just have a messaging problem. Everything's like, I call it the John Kerry disease, where you want to just describe everything in the greatest detail. And it's like, we've seen time and time again, look at the success of the 111th mayor-elect of New York City. I have a succinct message. It's 3 points. Everyone understands it, right? And so let's not go deep into the weeds and have this larger philosophical, theoretical conversation about what is affordability. It's like, it's affordability. I sent you that picture of, Rick, I sent Joy a picture of, I went to my grocery store, there was 3 romaine hearts for $9.99.
Right.
That's what Democrats need to just show.
Lettuce expensive.
Lettuce is, it's like you're trying to be healthy because you don't have health insurance, but now it's $10. Like, just meet people where they are. And so I feel like even when we have these younger politicians who show how a message can break through quickly and efficiently, Democrats then fight that message. And it's like, why are you fighting success? I'm not saying to just transport Mom Donnie's message to, Virginia or New Jersey.
But the great part was that message worked. You got Virginia, which is a very purple state, and Spanberger is a center-left candidate. And you've got New York City, where Mondami is a progressive candidate. And you got New Jersey, which is a left, but not too far left.
Right.
And that,
Rick, I say all states are red states. You just got blue cities to make it blue. But they're all red states.
Okay. Luckily, the Constitution skipped over, we vote for the acreage.
I love these two. You guys come back often. Christina Greer.
Absolutely.
And the co-founder of the Lincoln Project, and I still say the fun guy from the Lincoln Project. Appreciate Rick Wilson. Thank y'all very much, Christina and Rick. Thank y'all. Come back soon.
Thank you, Joy. Good time. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your turkey, or if you're a vegan, enjoy your bowl of really expensive lettuce. All right, let's take a quick ad break. This episode of The Joy Reid Show is brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Now listen, if there is one thing this year has made super clear, it is that we are in a battle for the soul of American democracy. And as we approach Bill of Rights Day, which falls on December 15th, I want you to just think about this. The very first right listed, the one that kicks off the entire Bill of Rights, is the freedom from government-imposed religion. But right now, Christian nationalism is making a serious power play. In the courts, in your classrooms, and yes, in the Capitol. It is trying to drag us backwards, rewrite the Constitution, and silence voices of reason. That's why I'm so proud to tell you about the Freedom from Religion Foundation, an organization that's been fortifying the wall between church and state since 1978. They defend your rights in courtrooms, on Capitol Hill, and in communities across the country, especially for those of us who are free thinkers or non-religious, or who simply want to keep faith out of politics. And right now, especially for those who are shunning the big pro-MAGA merchants this holiday shopping season, between Black Friday and December 9th, FFRF is offering 20% off all the secular merch. Yes, you can wear your values and raise your voice. And a bold offer, 2 new memberships for the price of 1. Become a member and give the gift of membership to a fellow free thinker. It's the perfect way to bring somebody you love into the fight for freedom. These aren't holiday stocking stuffers. They're tools for resistance. So visit ffrf.us/shop and just text my first name, Joy, to 511-511 by December 9th, which of course is the 6-month birthday of the Joy Reid Show. Claim the offer, join the movement. Text Joy to 511-511, go to ffrf.us/shop, or text Joy to 511-511, because protecting the Constitution isn't seasonal, it's essential. Message and data rates may apply. We've got one more ad to play. The Joy Reid Show is brought to you by 120 Life. Now, Jason and I are truly enjoying our 120 Life experience. It has truly become part of our morning routine. But more importantly, 120 Life is addressing something that is super serious and that we all need to pay attention to. 1 in 2 adults have high blood pressure, and high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality. Taking control of your blood pressure is critical for your health and for your longevity. You want to be around here a long time, you need to take care of that blood pressure. And 120 Life is not just for high blood pressure, it's also beneficial for folks with diabetes. But managing your high blood pressure, it can help with diabetes too, making 120 Life a valuable tool for overall health. It's been endorsed by over 1,000 doctors. 120 Life is trusted by healthcare professionals, with hundreds of doctors recommending it to help manage your blood pressure naturally. See the results for yourself. 120 Life provides visible, measurable changes in blood pressure. Use a simple monitor at home to track your progress. 120 Life is a blend of great tasting superfood juices. It tastes really good. I love the beety kind of flavor. It tastes a little cherry-like. It's delicious, especially nice and ice cold. It's refreshing and flavorful, making it easy to incorporate into your daily routine. It's all reward and no risk. 120 Life comes with a risk-free 2-week trial pack. They offer a money-back guarantee if your blood pressure does not improve or if you're not satisfied. 120 Life is formulated with ingredients shown to help control your blood pressure naturally, and it's endorsed by thousands of healthcare professionals. Thousands of people have benefited from this. It's a trusted choice for managing blood pressure and also just for overall good health. So for a limited time, we want you to go ahead and try 120 Life. And you can get 20% off right now just by using the code JOY or the code REID at checkout at 120life.com. That's it. Risk-free trial. You don't like it? You return it and get your money back. Great 2-week trial. So head over to 120life.com and use the code JOY for the ladies or REID for the gents to save 20% today. There's nothing to lose except your high blood pressure numbers. Go to 120life.com and use the code JOY or REID to save 20% today. Now, I will note that these statements have not been approved by the Food and Drug Administration, and this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And now back to the show. Sort of falsity and lie is that it's a push for America first and an end to foreign wars, except when they want war. But it's never as simple as it seems, right? Captain No More Wars is apparently looking to remake The Mandate of Palestine with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff's investment portfolio backed by a Trump-led Department of Peace and maybe even U.S. troops. U.S. troops may also be headed to Nigeria, purportedly to protect Christians from persecution by Islamic insurgent groups. And then there's Venezuela, where the so-called president of peace is threatening war while blowing up more than 70 fishermen in the Caribbean Sea, supposedly to stop a war on the U.S. by fentanyl that isn't even made in Venezuela. And major airlines have now canceled all flights in and out of Venezuela for fear of elevated military activity. So why is Trump seeking to go after Venezuela? Is it to free the Venezuelan people from the horrors of their dictator, Maduro, who is horrific? I doubt it. Venezuelan opposition politician and current Nobel Peace Prize holder Maria Corina Machado has what I think is a clearer answer. Here she is.
Forget about Saudi Arabia. Forget about the Saudis. We have more oil. Infinite potential. And we're going to open markets. We're going to kick off the government from the oil sector. We are going to privatize all our industries. Venezuela has huge resources, oil, gas, minerals, land, technology. And as you said before, we have a strategic location, hours from the United States. So we're going to do this right. We know what we have to do. And American companies are in, super strategic position to invest. This country, Venezuela, is going to be the brightest opportunity for investment of American companies, of good people that are going to make a lot of money.
Make a lot of money. Good people are going to make a lot of money, Ms. Machado. No wonder she dedicated her prize to Trump.
Do you remember before the Iraq War,
Yeah.
what was his name? Chavez? Not Chavez. There was a gentleman that was saying that they wanted to go to war in Iraq. It's the same story.
Yeah, the same story. They went in for the oil. And remember, Trump complained that we didn't take all the oil in Iraq. It's always about the oil. We toppled Iran for the oil. We're now going into Venezuela for the oil. And by the way, I just want to show you guys the top oil producing countries in the world, the people who have the largest proven reserves of oil. You see Venezuela right there at number 1, larger proven reserves than Saudi Arabia. You see Iran right there. You see Iraq. You see them there. You see Kuwait. And then look there at number 10, Nigeria. And joining me now is Kica Matos. Her latest piece in Time magazine is titled "The Danger of Trump's War Threats." Kica Matos, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Joy.
So talk about this threat to go to war in Venezuela. Did Ms. Machado just sum it up for us that this is all about oil?
She did it. it's not just about oil, it's also about power. And it is part and parcel of this administration's efforts to undercut and undermine our democracy and bring about authoritarianism. Because Trump is doing two things at once. First, he's saying that we are apparently at war with drug cartels, and that allows him to then use the laws of war, right? So he's, for example, invoked the Alien Enemies Act to be able to deport Venezuelans without giving them the right to go before court. And now he's saying that apparently drug traffickers are enemy combatants who are in armed conflict with the United States. So what does that mean? You talked about the number of people who've been killed now. There have been 83 people who've been killed in 20 boats, right? And extrajudicial killings are permissible when you're at war. Now there's the war outside, and of course it's beneficial that Venezuela has so much oil. He also wants to deport as many Venezuelans as possible. So there's that war that he alleges is taking place outside, and then there's the war from within. And recall that when he went and gave that speech in front of all those four-star generals, what did he talk about? He talked about a war within, right? And said, we're going to use cities as testing grounds. And a war from within is targeting immigrants, and it's targeting people who support immigrants. Why? Because he wants to advance an authoritarian framework on the backs of immigrants.
And, and Jason, did the reminder that, we've been down this road before with Iraq, another war not declared by Congress, in which Congress expanded the ability of the president at that time, George W. Bush, to use all of the tools of war against a country that had not declared war on us and that we had not declared war on formally. And all of the stuff is back, as you said, the whole idea of enemy combatants, the idea that you can wage this war in any time and place of the president's choosing with no constraints really by Congress. And Trump is now using that same formula, which, those of us who were against the Iraq war, this is why we were against it, because we knew that future presidents would just take this and carbon copy it onto another people. In the case of Venezuela, is the idea the same as Iraq, occupation and then the privatization of their oil companies?
I think the idea behind Venezuela and the idea behind declaring drug cartels as enemy combatants is all about consolidating power, right? And it's all about being able to carry out extrajudicial killings. It's all about being able to invade Venezuela, right? For all intents and purposes, if we look at what's happening to Venezuela, 15,000 troops have already been deployed, and they're sort of lurking out there. And there's all of this military equipment just off the coasts of the Caribbean, right? The Caribbean and the Pacific strikes have taken place, I think, as a warning. So what do I think? Oh, and then apparently today the administration designated Cartel de Soles as a foreign terrorist organization, and apparently Maduro is the head of the Cartel de Soles. So it is this march towards war, but it's also a march towards authoritarianism, which is why all of us should be concerned. Because at the same time that he's doing that, look at what happened in Charlotte, North Carolina last week. Mm-hmm. Right? He sent Customs and Border Patrol there. He has now sent the National Guard to 5 cities. The Customs and Border Patrol head is now heading to Louisiana and Mississippi. And that is also the march towards authoritarianism within. Already 400,000 people have been deported. 170 US citizens have been detained, right? Scheduled for deportation. That is what keeps me up at night. It is not just about what's happening on the outside and what he wants to do in Venezuela. It's also what's happening within and what's around the corner. And I fear that what's around the corner is an effort to undermine the midterm elections.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, and also what's ironic, given the fact that Donald Trump did win a raw majority of Latino, voters, Hispanic men, is that they are being hyper targeted because they're actually the largest non-white minority and are the group of Americans who are producing the decline of white Americans out of the majority because of birth rates in younger age, et cetera. And so you have this interesting or horrific thing where you're kind of demonizing all Latinos to hyper target them for mass deportation, detention, and extradition. And Venezuela is interesting because Venezuelans came here largely because of Hugo Chavez. And a lot of Venezuelans came and fled to Miami. You know, they call Western Florida, Westenzuela, because there's so many Venezuelans who live there, who came there and brought a lot of cash, bought a lot of homes for cash, moved to Venezuela, and got amnesty to come here, very broad amnesty, similar to Cubans, because they were anti-communist. Then you have Trump and those guys say that somehow Venezuela, if you guys remember this, was behind the so-called stolen election. They're claiming that the machine that secretly stole the election were related to Venezuela and who the late Chavez, right? And they put Venezuela in the middle of his quote unquote stop the steal conspiracy theories. And now, if you want to deport a lot of Latinos all at once, the biggest group you can get besides Cubans are Venezuelans. If you want to do mass deportation, you want a lot of brown people to go away, you got to get them. So it feels like the perfect storm that's targeting brown people.
Yeah, the other thing he did is he revoked temporary protected status, which is a status that you can give to people who are undocumented in the country when their countries are facing, for example, a natural disaster or some kind of civil conflict. So hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans benefited from temporary protected status. And one of the first things that this administration did and has been doing is to get rid of temporary protected status. And it will come as no surprise to you, in many countries with a majority population of people of color, including Venezuelans, right? It is no coincidence that the first thing he did after he invoked the Alien Enemies Act, and the Alien Enemies Act, in essence, it's a wartime authority that allows the government to deport people who are considered to be the enemy without due process. No matter how long you've been here, you can just be picked up and deported. So what did he do? He invoked the Alien Enemies Act. He rounded up hundreds of Venezuelans and he sent them to El Salvador, right, to that terrible CCOT center, where they faced tremendous amounts of abuses. And then eventually, some wheeling and dealing happened, and many of those Venezuelans were then sent to Venezuela. So the target now is on Venezuelans, right? I think the target is going to continue to spread, because the other thing he's intent on doing is on deporting 1 million people. That is his goal before the end of the year. And I think when they think about undocumented immigrants, the stereotype is a Mexican or a brown Latino looking man. And so that's part of the reason why they are upping their levels of aggression. And, the interesting thing is that the pendulum has started to swing the other way, right? I was disheartened by how many Latinos voted for Trump, because I thought he's going to come after you, right? And now we saw in the recent elections that a lot of Latinos now have started to swing in the other direction, because they have seen what this man and his administration has done to immigrants, particularly Latino immigrants.
Yeah, wait till they see the internment camps. This is what happened with Japanese Americans during World War II. And Donald Trump is nothing if not somebody who likes to repeat anything that's close to the 1930s. And they've already started to build internment camps in Texas and in Florida. I remember Alligator, Alcatraz. The goal also is going to be internment, right? Because this is about ethnic cleansing. I spoke with a member of Congress who said she agrees, who's Latina, who says, yeah, it's ethnic cleansing, reduce the numbers of brown people. And you can't do it with Mexican Americans, because, hate to break it to y'all, but this was Mexico before. So they're all from here. They're not immigrants. So you can't get Puerto Ricans either. Also, it's a territory. So last question, what would a war, do with me? What would that look like if we wind up invading Venezuela? By the way, Venezuela is right next to Guyana, which Venezuela keeps wanting to invade because it also has oil, and Essequibo used to be part of Venezuela. So there's oil next to oil. What is an invasion and a war like that? What would that look like?
I don't know. That's a really good question. But what it looks like to me, it will look like efforts to get rid of Maduro, and it'll be look like efforts to try to get access to as much oil as possible, right? And then the question that I have is, how does that impact the rest of the region?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, what is happening now is really an effort to flex the US's military muscle to say, we're coming after you, right? But Venezuela is also a big country.
Yeah.
Let's go back. You talked about Iraq. Let's go back to Iraq.
Yeah.
Venezuela is a very big country. I remember Bush putting up the mission accomplished.
Uh-huh.
I could similarly see any efforts to try to invade Venezuela will likely meet with some level of resistance. And the population in Venezuela is quite big.
It's quite big. And and it didn't work out so well what we did in Iraq. And Maduro, as wicked as he is preparing for war. Kica Matos, who is the president of the National Immigration Law Center. Thank you very much. We're going to put up your piece on the Substack so people can read it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. You all, we don't want this. Like, I thought Donald Trump was supposed to end the foreign wars, but as I've counted so far, he wants to invade Greenland, Panama, occupy Panama to get control of the Panama Canal. He wants to put troops on the ground in Nigeria. He wants to remake the Mandate of Palestine, putting U.S. troops in charge of guarding Jared Kushner's new real estate development, putting himself in charge of this Department of Peace, meaning he and Witkoff will also be making coin off of the dead bodies, so the ghosts of the Palestinians there. He wants to hand Ukraine over to Russia and then now also invade Venezuela. So much for peace. Welcome to hour 2 of the Joy Reid Show. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the troll-free environment in the chat. Our goal was to sort of decrease the trolling, so we wanted to make sure that we did that. So guys, let us know if you're enjoying the reduction in troll volume by making it subscribers only. And if you want to jump in and chat with the really fun people in our TJRS chat. They're really fun people. I sneak over and I look at the chat. Y'all see me looking off to the side a lot because I'm looking at the chat and seeing all the fun things that you guys are talking. Oh, we got the Lemon Nation. Our Lemon Nation folks here. If you're from the Lemon Nation, shout it out because we love to have our Lemon Nation friends in the house. Don Lemon and I, we have a bond. Those of us who are in the Lemon Nation fan group, you guys, please shout out yourselves as well. If you're Jim Acosta fans, if you're members of the Jim Acosta gang, also shout yourselves out because we are a trio on breaking news nights. So I want to remind you guys also, please, if you guys would like to chat, just subscribe. That's all you have to do. You can hear what we're teeing up for you guys in the background. But I wonder, have you guys ever wondered whether the numerous bots who troll you on any pro-democratic or any post are real people or bots? You can hear the fun going on in the background. Hold on. I wonder that as well. You guys are this is teeing up what we're going to be getting very soon. Oh, are we going to go to this application? Okay, we're going to come back to it. Because I have a question, then we're going to go to that live feed. If you've ever wondered whether a lot of them are real or bots, how about option number 3? As discovered by our friends on Midas Touch. This is C1.
Is freaking out right now because Twitter, which prefers to identify as X, released this new feature in which you could actually see the country of origin of an account. And it's now being revealed that a lot of these MAGA accounts out there with hundreds of thousands of followers that have a big influence online are actually based in other countries. The way my jaw stayed in place. So I could literally go through like 1,000 of these accounts, but I'll show you just a few. Like this account, America First Verified. Well, turns out this account is based in Bangladesh. How about America Man, based in Indonesia? What about MAGA Nadine over here? Oh, it's probably some dude based in Morocco. Okay, Mary Tiles, Texas, you sure post a lot of pro-MAGA stuff online. Oh, wait, you're from Russia? Interesting. Like I said, I could keep going and going. Nigeria. Yeah. This is a major account that always gets Elon Musk's attention. This is based in India. Yeah. This Ivanka Trump fan account based in Nigeria. This big MAGA account is based in Papua New Guinea. This one's from Serbia. Ultra MAGA Trump 2028, Nigeria. Dark MAGA coin, Thailand. The MAGA beacon, South Asia.
Wow.
MAGA Nation, Eastern Europe. Aaron Trump News, Eastern Europe. I think this definitely confirms what a lot of us thought but couldn't definitively prove. But now this feature is live. If you're on Twitter, if you're on X, you could see this on anybody's accounts. So just think about the foreign influence operations that are happening right now on this app. Think about the lawmakers who feel pressured by accounts like this. Think about the disinformation that spreads as a result of all these accounts out there. So in addition to the foreign influence angle, I actually see a simpler explanation for a lot of these accounts, and that's the fact that X pays their content creators for their posts, specifically their verified content creators who engage with other verified content creators. And so in this case, you can imagine somebody living in India or Bangladesh wanting to figure out how they can make a few extra $100 a month, a few extra $1,000 a month, and realizing that if they spread this MAGA propaganda, they are getting checks from Twitter, which change their lives if they're living in a country where they would normally live on just dollars a day. And so all this together has just created this really dangerous online landscape. And so it's important that we call it out, and it's important that we realize that this is going on, not just on Twitter, but on all social media apps. Hey, if you like this video, remember to add the Midas Touch podcast right now anywhere you find audio podcasts. I'll be back with more updates, so remember to spread the word and follow our account for more.
There you go. Yeah, definitely subscribe to Midas Touch. They are an excellent source of news. We also subscribe to them. And hello to everybody from the Lemon Nation. Y'all have been shouting yourselves out. We got some Jim Acosta fans also in the chat. But this is, I think, really important for us to just hold on for just a moment, because we started this show talking about the grift that members of Congress are running, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, where they come in medium middle class-ish or a little upper middle class, and they leave really rich, or they come in really rich and they leave as billionaires, like they're getting close to a billionaire. Jim Justice is getting close. And they are using their positions in Congress not to serve the people, but to actually cut people's health care in order to give themselves and their donors tax cuts, to bet on the stock market, play crypto, do investments, and then write the laws that are literally related to the things that they're investing in. Mark-Wayne Mullen is like notorious for this. If you look at Mark-Wayne Mullen's portfolio and then look at the things that he's doing legislatively, they align. He's in there getting rich. They're not there to serve the people. They're there to get rich. And then you have a few who are actual public servants who are usually the poor ones. One of the things that one poster pointed out is that, love him or hate him, Joe Biden made a lot of mistakes. I think his Gaza policy was an abomination, but he was one of the poorest members of the United States Congress, House, or Senate when he was there, though he was there for like 30 years. He never got to be the richest because he was basically just making his salary and a small number of investments on the side. This guy didn't get rich. He didn't become really rich until he became president of the United States, or until he wrote a book. He got a book deal. Same with Barack Obama. What made Barack Obama finally wealthy was a book deal. They became, when they went over $1 million. They were normal public servants with normal jobs. But these people, these MAGA people, are coming in here.
That Netflix deal.
And the Netflix deal is what really made them rich. But that was after they were president. Joe Biden got a huge book deal after he was president. But these people are coming in here, and during their terms, they're getting crazy rich and doing it while giving themselves a huge tax cut. The Senate, supposedly the clean CR, we talked about this on the show, added to it that 7 of them get to sue for $500,000 apiece. And Lindsey Graham is fighting to keep it so that they can then go to the Justice Department and demand $500,000 each, because their phone records were subpoenaed because they were trying to help Trump stay in office forever. Why do they want Trump to stay in office forever when they all hate his guts? Because they're making money with him. They're making money with him. They keep him there because he's making money, their donors are making money, and the members of Congress are making money, which is why when you have a John Ossoff who's like, I pledge to not do this, you need to really keep them. Warnock is a pastor. Pastors make a good living, but he's not like a 10 trillionaire. He's not like super rich because he's just a regular guy. And there are very few who stay regular. And you need to really start looking at the portfolios of your members of Congress, House, or Senate, regardless of the party. Are they getting richer? Because most of them are already millionaires, by the way. The majority of people Chucky Schumer. How much money are you making, buddy? How much is coming in? I think you should want to know. This is, somebody said they are the swamp. Lisa Gee 7. Yes, this is the swamp. Donald Trump promised to drain the swamp. He's drained it into his pockets. He's drained the swamp into his pockets. They're all getting rich. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump walk out and Kushner gets $2 billion. The former Treasury Secretary gets $1 billion from the Saudis. They're all getting paid. They're all getting money while they're taking away your little subsidies for your little Obamacare. They're taking away your little rural hospitals' Medicaid funding. They're eating off the poor, stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. And Trump is now doing it like brazenly and building himself a golden ballroom, which he's claiming you're not going to pay for. Who do you think's going to pay for the construction? You're going to pay for it. He's going to build an Arc de Triomphe. Kash Patel is partying with his girlfriend, having our federal law enforcement protect his girlfriend, flying in federal planes so that he can go on a date with her. They're all in Vegas right now, chilling on your dime.
They're doing a double date. Christina Ullman.
Corey Lewandowski and her chilling on your dime. She gets, 3 private planes to fly around? Why does she need that? Tom Homan, bag of cash Tom. How many of his friends that gave him the $50,000 in cash did he hook up with these internment camp deals? So all these private prison companies who all gave to Trump, one hand washes the other. The private prison companies give money to Trump. Then Trump suddenly decides mass detention, put them in a private prison. They get money. They barely feed them. It's like slavery. Then they're doing these patrols that look like slave patrols, dragging women and children out of their homes with no warrants and then detaining them. While they're detained, who's getting money off of that? The people who feed the private prison, the people who make the food. Everybody's eating except you. Everybody's eating except you. It's the great, people calling it the great, they call him the great Fatsby. Jason, what is a good sound effect for that? They call him the great Fatsby. That's what they're calling Trump. He's stealing. Stop the steal. Now, luckily, there are some, that was pretty weak. There are some real humans who are actually working on the pro-democracy, anti-theft, anti-fascist side. And I want to go live real quick. Let's go live to North Carolina, where Bishop William Barber and Repairers of the Breach are doing actual real life activism. Jason jumped into that live earlier, so we're going to jump into it again so you guys can take a look. There are people who are actually trying to do
Reverend
something.
Barber isn't here yet.
Oh no, he's not there yet. But I think we're just going to look at the live shot. Okay, we'll take a look at that live shot and then talk to Mark Thompson, our buddy, the Reverend Mark Thompson, host of the Make It Plain podcast. And we're going to show y'all Repairers of the Breach and Bishop Barber's folks. There it is. So this is the event that they're having, which we're going to go to live and just take a look at it, look-see at it for just a hot minute and see what it's looking like. They are. We're going to come back to on different part of the but you know, a good church service always keeps going. All right, so let's bring in Mark Thompson, who is joining us to talk about the kind of real activism versus the theft economy that's been created by the other side. Mark, it's always good to see you.
Good to see you too, Joy. Glad to join you. I was supposed to be in Charlotte with the good people tonight. I just couldn't work it out. But now we can do everything virtually.
Yes.
And so here we are. I see Bishop Barber on screen. I'm trying to get a sense of what time he'll go to the pulpit in case we want to throw to him. But as many of you have been hearing, there was this operation called Charlotte's Web.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, here is ICE going into communities and rounding up people. The numbers say there were about 370 people rounded up, but maybe only 100, if that, actually had some type of real law enforcement issue. And, you know, I think we have to be honest with ourselves. These things are meaningless. They don't yield the return, I think, that people would expect, or that the arrests themselves warrant, or the surveillance and the occupation, the military style occupation, is disproportionate to the return in terms of actual so-called criminals and people who break the law. But it's a distraction from Epstein, from everything else that's going on. Special election in Tennessee, which is going to get handed to him again. It's a distraction from other things that have been going on. The court said he could not occupy communities like he did in Washington, D.C. The federal court said that. It distracts what the judges said in Texas. It distracts from that. And today even, I'm sure he'd love for this to distract from the charges being dropped with Comey and Tish James. Now, they're claiming that they have pulled back, that they have withdrawn, but that is not true. Even the sheriff in Mecklenburg County says that's not true. There is still a presence there, and kudos to all those in law enforcement. I think I have this right. I think the sheriff pushed back himself as well. But what we are watching is the event at the church in Charlotte, where at First Baptist Church West in Charlotte, North Carolina, where they're having a rally. And what's beautiful about it is you can see the diversity of the crowd. This is not, folks, these are not just folks who speak Spanish. There are people, white, black, and otherwise, who are standing with our brown and Latino and Hispanic sisters and brothers. And that's what every community ought to do. And this is what this is Moral Monday. This is what Moral Monday is about. This is what public theology is about. This is what Dr. King gave his life for the beloved community. And Bishop Barber and others, as you can see on the screen, are doing that just now.
Yeah. And the reality is that, what they're doing to brown people is literally just a rehearsal for what they want to do to all Americans who oppose them. The idea is to create a compliant population, regardless of race, who will not push back, as they are literally busting open the vault and stealing every dime, taking away health care, taking away the livelihoods of farmers, taking away the livelihoods of ranchers, and then claiming that they're going to give a tariff rebate that is double the amount they've taken in tariffs. So you'd have to go into further debt to even afford to give the rebate, because the tariffs have taken in like $100 billion, and they're talking about spending $300 billion on supposed rebates, which would literally be like me stealing your money and then giving you back $10 of your money.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Theft. And they're doing all of this to placate people who are clearly waking up to the fact that this is just a bank robbery that looks like a presidency.
Right. And he obviously he also is making every effort to confuse, to divide and conquer. That is really where we are, and that's what we have to be concerned about. And so I'm buoyed, and I hope others are buoyed by what is taking place in Charlotte tonight. And this is just one place. This is happening in a lot of communities. Chicago stood up, other people have stood up. So I don't think it's going to work. And so to be clear, y'all, the proof that it's not working, the proof in the pudding is that he's got to redistrict. Because if this was working, if this is what it's supposed to be and it's effective, you don't have to redistrict. You don't have to do any of that. So that's what he's doing. And I'm glad communities are standing up. And I hope others will take advantage and take heed and model what we're seeing in Charlotte and other cities.
I mean, the reality is I think, right. Well, Donald Trump believed he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he would still not lose a supporter. So he assumed he could deport people's abuelas and abuelos and girlfriends and wives and not lose a single Hispanic supporter. They just assumed that they're all going to behave like the Cubans in Miami, no matter how much you beat them up and hurt them. But what you don't have to understand is Cubans actually have flipped before. Even Cubans voted in a majority for Obama, because they were angry at George W. Bush for making it more difficult for them to send money home to Cuba, to their families. And when they did that, you had Cuban Americans, Republicans burning their Republican voter ID cards in Miami, Florida. And then Obama comes along and actually wins outright Cuban Americans in 2000.
That's right.
Done. And there's no permanent interest or there's only permanent interest, not permanent allies. And I think what's so interesting is that the break in the economy, the fact the economy is so horrible and everyone's experiencing it the same way, the rising unemployment, the inability to find work, to get jobs, to survive, combined with the lies about the Epstein files, the just utter hypocrisy, where people who've been QAnoners, who believe there was a global conspiracy of pedophiles, only to find out there was a global conspiracy of pedophiles, and Trump, rather than exposing it, is protecting it. I feel like is lethal for Trump's politics.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And again, that's a distraction. You can't focus on the forest for the trees, and the forest being what he and Epstein were really up to. Now, y'all, I don't think he just did that willingly. Release the files. They've got 30 days to do it. Let's see what really happens over the next 30 days. Joe, I have some numbers on Charlotte in particular.
Please.
The Department of Homeland Security has said that the Operation Charlotte's, where targeted, quote, violent criminal aliens. And they released profiles of about 20 individuals with convictions for serious crimes like domestic violence, assault, DUI, and DUI. Now, some of the internal reports and legal aid documents indicate that fewer than 1/3 of those arrested, of the 300 something, like I said, about 100, had any prior criminal record. The majority, 65%, were arrested solely for simple immigration violations, just being undocumented. Many were collateral arrests. People who just happened to be around when the arrests were taking place. Here's some local reporting. 16-year-old boy was reported arrested while working at a grocery store. Many arrests occurred in public parking lots such as Home Depot. So that's where the day workers are. People go to Home Depot. When you see the brother standing outside, that's a day worker. They're just waiting for construction or landscaping work. 2 women were arrested and had their vehicle windows smashed by agents after they honked their car horns to warn neighbors of the agents' presence. There are reports of a deportation trap where individuals attending routine immigration court hearings expecting due process were arrested by plainclothes agents in the hallways or shortly after leaving the courtroom. See, and what that does is that's why people stop sending their kids to school.
Right.
That's why some businesses close, because there are all these traps out here. Now, the nationals that DHS has identified so far have been those from the Honduras, Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, grocery stores, construction sites, Home Depot, apartment complexes, gas stations, and even near churches. Many of these agents are folks in tactical gear, some in plain clothes. And the press down in Charlotte describes them using blitz, like in football. They use blitz tactics in public areas rather than solely targeting specific homes with warrants. We don't have a full list of all the names. Some of the 370 arrestees have been transferred out of state to private detention facilities in Georgia. And it is unclear how many have already been deported. So we just don't know. And this is appalling. This is not on the week of Thanksgiving, which often I like to call Thanks-taking, and I renew that tonight because they're taking people off the street. That's not Thanksgiving, that's Thanks-taking.
Yeah.
As long as that is happening, we're not safe. I think Bishop Barber's up at the pulpit if we want to listen.
Let's listen in. Let's listen in.
I'm quite sure that was an impromptu request. So you got another one coming tonight. Come on, stand up here with me. Nobody stands alone. Amen. I want you to stand with me. Would you help me? There is a scripture in the Bible that's honored by Christians, grace and peace. That's honored by Jews, shalom. That's honored by Muslim brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum. That's honored by almost every faith tradition, and even those who may not have a particular faith tradition, but they honor the fact that there is a moral arc of the universe. And Dr. Woods, it might bend long, but it always ends up bending towards justice. And I want you to hear it tonight in the Message Bible. Thousands and thousands of people are listening to us online, even as we're here today. It says in the Message Bible, in chapter 5, verse 10, actually verse 9, God could destroy this as easily as he has made it. God could turn this vast wonder into total waste. Now, people hate this kind of talk because raw truth is never popular. But here is some raw truth bluntly spoken. Because you run roughshod over the poor, and because you take the bread right out of their mouth.
Jason, can we boost that volume a tiny bit?
You, as a
That's all we have.
are never going to move.
That's all the volume we have.
Luxury homes you have built. never going to drink wine from the expensive vineyards you planted. In other words, you're going to have a constant.
Okay, we're gonna have to come back from it because the volume is just a little too low. I think folks can't hear it. So Mark, let's talk about the reason that this is happening tonight in Charlotte. We're gonna come off of it just because the volume is really low. What is the purpose of this event tonight?
Tonight, the purpose is to rally this local community to stand in solidarity with those who are being targeted by ICE, to provide support for some of the families that are victimized in this, and to show a show of resistance to ICE, to Trump, to the way people are being treated in this moment. You know, W.B. Du Bois had a saying, you have to fight, even if you lose. People have to see that blood was spilt on their behalf on the ground. And that's not literal, but it's figurative and metaphorical. This is an example of what communities must do, in this hour and in this moment. And, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, you and I have a relationship with Bishop Barber. That's our man. You don't go to North Carolina and not expect somebody like him to mobilize. This is where he made his bones. This is where he cut his political organizing teeth. Moral Monday was one of the biggest phenomenon over the past 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And so the infrastructure is there to mobilize people and organize people. And I think every opportunity we can take to do that and provide a template for other communities. You know, this is what happened in the Civil Rights Movement. Montgomery provided a template that was then able to be taken to Birmingham, that was then able to be taken to Selma and other cities, and Atlanta and Albany, and even Chicago, where Dr. King went in 1966. So we cannot stop organizing. And as I said last time we talked, Joy, you know, sometimes we get euphoric just on election day and then that's it.
Right.
No, this was a big election and we had a reason to be euphoric, but politics is eternal vigilance, as Frederick Douglass said. We must continue to organize and never stop. This is not something we're just going to vote away. We've got to show organized resistance on the ground. And those numbers I just read you, that's the even some of the mainstream corporate coverage is disproportionate to what's really going on. Mm-hmm. Trump is building a reel. He just wants to show like an episode of Cops, folks getting rounded up.
Right.
He wants to use that to mobilize his MAGA base, or at least the MAGA base, who hasn't awakened to the fact that they don't have no money. I'm sorry, my mother would give me for using bad English. They ain't got no money. So let me say it that way. So, you know, back to the OBJ statement you and I always talk about, you know, you can pick a man's pocket as long as you convince him that he's better off than the lowest black man. But in this case, in this moment, in this decade, can pick his pocket and convince him that he's better off than the lowest black man, the lowest immigrant, the lowest woman, anybody in that category of historically discriminated against people. And so this is an effort to really, you know, beat the bushes. We lift up the name of Reverend Jackson, you all, who was in the hospital, but, you know, he used to always quote the scripture about just rocks laying around and David picking up the rock to slay Goliath. If we don't organize, we're just locked rocks laying around.
Yeah. And by the way, I will note for everybody, if you will recall, that Barack Obama actually won North Carolina in 2008 by about 90,000 votes. And then when they lost, it wasn't by that many votes. But Bishop Barber was already organizing on the ground in terms of getting North Carolinians registered to vote and getting people to understand their power. That Moral Mondays movement, which launched itself to try to demand health care and demand Obamacare for North Carolina. It is one of the reasons that North Carolina became one of the first Southern states to actually expand Obamacare, to get expanded Medicaid. And that was a fight. It was a fight that the Republicans fought so hard that they actually tried to neuter the governor, to say that the governor wouldn't have any power anymore, to take his powers away so that they couldn't do it. And so, you know, this is a model that fight for healthcare and for living wages has been core to repairs of the breach. I know y'all can hear him in the background, but we're not going to turn it up to full volume, guys, because it's just not coming in loud enough from North Carolina. That's why we're not actually playing the live video. But Mark, it is important to keep fighting. On this note of keeping the fight going, I want to, because I have you here, we do have some sad news, and this one hit me today personally, and I know it's going to hit you the same way, that Mother Fletcher, who was one of the last 3 living survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, she's passed away. She was just 7 years old when an army of white racists, including law enforcement, even military planes, attacked beautiful Greenwood, Oklahoma, better known as Black Wall Street, killing hundreds of people, dumping dozens of people into mass graves, shooting and murdering, and driving hundreds of families out of town for good, including Miss Viola's family. In 2023, the 3 remaining survivors, including Mother Fletcher, her brother Hughes Van Ellis, aka Uncle Red, who died last year, and Mother Leslie Renningfield, who's the final survivor, testified before Congress in their fight for reparations. I want to play a little bit of that.
My name is Viola Ford Fletcher. I'm the daughter of Lucinda Ellis and John Wesley Ford of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm the sister of Hughes Van Ellis, who is also here today. I'm a survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre. 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 107th birthday. Today, I'm visiting Washington, D.C. for the first time in my life. I'm here seeking justice, and I'm asking my country to acknowledge what happened in Tulsa in 1921. On May 31st in 21, I went to bed in my family's home in Greenwood. Neighbors of Tulsa, the neighborhood I felt asleep in that night, was rich, not just in terms of wealth, but in culture, community, heritage, and my family had a beautiful home. We had great neighbors, and I had friends to play with. I felt safe. I had everything a child could need. I had a bright future ahead of me. The night of the massacre, I was awakened by my family. My parents and 5 siblings were there. I was told we had to leave, and that was it. I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see black men being shot, black bodies lying in the street. I still smell smoke and see fire. I still see black businesses being burned. I still hear airplanes flying overhead. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day.
And that was in 2023, Mark. She passed away, and she and the final remaining survivor were still fighting for reparations, which they have not gotten. They've still not gotten. Let me read to you what the mayor of Tulsa, who was a better mayor than the one they previously had. And today, our city mourns the loss of Mother Viola Fletcher, a survivor of one of the darkest chapters in our city's history. Mother Fletcher endured more than anyone should, yet she spent her life lighting a path forward with purpose. Mother Fletcher carried 111 years of truth, resilience, and grace, and was a reminder of how far we've come and how far we must still go. She never stopped advocating for justice for the survivors and descendants of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And I hope we can all carry forward her legacy with the courage and conviction she modeled every day of her life. On behalf of the city of Tulsa, the mayor says, I offer my heartfelt condolences to her family, loved ones, the Greenwood descendant community, and every Tulsan who saw hope in her journey. Rest in peace, Mother Fletcher. Your thoughts, Mark?
Yep, to live for a century, to have been a child when that happened, she's one of the living manifestations of that experience. And, most of our ancestors did not live to tell the story. We hear about it, we read about it, it's historically documented, but to have had a living witness in that situation was more than meaningful. And as an activist, she made a tremendous difference. I said to our friend earlier today, I texted him, Attorney DeMario Solomon Simmons. I said, my brother, we know you're an activist and a lawyer, but the most important thing you did was be a faithful servant to your elders,
Mm-hmm.
and including her. And I know she appreciated that. So no matter what, she did not get what she deserved here on earth, but we are certain that she has her reward. Things happen in threes. We lost in the past 24 hours. Mother Fletcher, Jamil Alamein, may Allah be pleased with him, and Jimmy Cliff, the great reggae artist. So we say when we pass away, we go from labor to reward. She has her reward that she couldn't get here. But what did Bob Marley say? Heaven is here on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We need our reward here while we are alive. She deserved it. She did not get it. But in her blessed name forevermore, we will continue to fight for reparations. And if any of you ever on Jeopardy and you get a question like this, I want you, there's a bit of trivia. The Great Gap Band is from Tulsa. GAP is an acronym for the intersection of three streets: Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. GAP Band.
What?
And the song "You Dropped a Bomb on Me" is really about what happened when Tulsa was bombed.
Wow. Okay, you've blown my mind, Mark. You have brought, my mind is blown. Okay, my mind is blown. You brought that's heavy. Who knew? Mark Thompson, with before I let you go, my brother, real quick, to just go back to politics for just one moment. There are some folks who have thrown out to me the idea that Bishop Barber, to go back to Bishop, should run for Congress. Have you heard that? Because I'm hearing it. I need to ask him. We didn't get him to come on and answer the question himself, but that word is in the street, Mark.
Well, actually, not just some people. I had a conversation with Bishop Barber about even running for Senate. Now, I don't know that he's called to do that. When I was in high school, I went to high school, I had to do a thesis. And my thesis was on the last year of Dr. King's life, where he was heavily recruited to run for president of the United States on a peace ticket. And he said that just wasn't what he was called to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's not called to run for office.
Yeah.
Bishop Barber may not have ruled it out. But for example, what I was going to mention, part of the agenda here is to destabilize North Carolina so there can be a win there. So Roy Cooper, who is running for Senate, can be hobbled, and anybody else for that matter. I reached out to the team. I think they were working on the audio. Hopefully they'll be able to fix that for you, Jason. If I get any more word, I'll keep you posted. But I mean, if that's something he feels called to do, I think that's what he should do.
Yeah.
And I think we should all support him. Is the audio better, Jason?
Let's hear it.
I'll try. Hold on.
It's taking $16 million.
Nah, it's too low.
It's the same bill that's going to take 22 million people's food stamps.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's too low. But we're gonna keep a weather eye on what's going on there, Mark. As I let you go, and I'm gonna let the audience know that we're gonna post the full testimony. We've already posted it. It's already up. Look at that. The team is so quick. The testimony of Mother Fletcher is available on the Joy Reid Show channel. So if you want to watch her full testimony, it's not super long, but if you want to listen to everything that she had to say as she completes and tells that story. The tragedies that we faced in this country are not ancient. They're recent enough that somebody who lived through it can be alive to testify for it in the year of our Lord 2023. And there is still one survivor still alive. She is also north of 100 years old. And imagine being a 6 and a 7-year-old, because that's how old that these guys were. Viola was 7, and her younger brother, Uncle Red, was 6. And when this happened to them, this didn't happen 1,000 years ago. It literally happened in the 1920s when they were children, and they lived to tell about it. Mother Fletcher wrote a book, which we're going to put into the store, about her experiences. And she and the other 2 survivors actually became citizens of Ghana. So they made the trek home, Mark. They made the trek, flew even at their advanced age to Washington, D.C. to testify. And they also flew to Accra, Ghana to become citizens and to touch the African continent, which I think is so beautiful.
It was. She was beautiful. We're so thankful for her life and example. And those of us who got the chance to touch the hem of her garment were truly saved and blessed. Let us continue in her blessed name.
Amen. Amen. I got a chance to meet her and Uncle Red, and Uncle Red was spicy, man. Uncle Red was spicy. I think Uncle Red had a little crush on Tiffany Cross, though. He mentioned it when I got to interview him. He loved him some Tiffany Cross, but because she got a chance to go out to Tulsa and do a really great special one at the former MSNBC Ms. Now is what they call themselves now. But they have touched so many lives. Much love to and blessings to the memory of Mother Fletcher. Mark Thompson, my friend, thank you very much. I always appreciate you.
Thank you, Joy. Appreciate you. God bless you.
God bless. Thank you very much. All right, let's get in one more sponsor. MSI United is one of the great sponsors of our show. Jason, roll 'em. The Joy Reid Show is brought to you by MSI Reproductive Choices. They are a nonprofit that provides reproductive health care in 36 countries. Now, I've been learning a lot about their work, and you know what really hit me? In sub-Saharan Africa, 4 million teenage girls drop out of school every year because they get pregnant. Now, let's just keep it real. Teens everywhere are going to have sex. It's human nature. But in too many places, these young girls do not have access to birth control. No options, no information. Once they get pregnant, most never go back to school. Only 5% do, in fact. A lot of them risk their lives trying to end a pregnancy. And a tragic number of young women and girls die as a result. But there is hope. MSI Reproductive Choices is out there doing the work, traveling to remote places to bring young women and girls contraception, healthcare, and control over their futures. And this group, they're the real deal. Charity Navigator and Candid both rate MSI highly for quality, efficiency, and impact. So here's how you can help. For just $26, you can give one girl contraception for 4 whole years. That is 4 years to stay in school, follow her dreams, and build her future. In the U.S., go to msiunitedstates.org for tax-deductible giving. That's M for modern, S for safe, I for informed. msiunitedstates.org. You can also text my last name, Reid, that's R-E-I-D, to 511-511. Just text Reid to 511-511. Go to msiunitedstates.org today. Let's give these young girls a chance. Text fees may apply. All right, guys, I want you guys to take a look at this clip. This is from last week when former Vice President Kamala Harris headed to Tennessee. We talk about the South a lot tonight, to campaign in the 7th Congressional District, which opened up a seat when Republican Representative Mark Green announced a surprise retirement. Here was Kamala.
Democracy, who's the power with? The people. And we understand, you know, when they try to say to young voters in particular, oh, your vote doesn't matter, why do you think they say that? Because they know the power is with the people. And that when you start to vote and you vote in your numbers, you show your power, and then the decisions are made that reflects your needs. But when you don't vote, then your power is not present, and other powers will lead. And what did I say? Don't ever let anybody take your power from you. Why am I here in Tennessee? Because I know the power is in the South. I know that.
The Democrat in the race is State Representative Afton Ben, a progressive community organizer who's also received a campaign visit from DNC Chair Ken Martin and $1 million in television and digital advertising from the House Majority PAC. On the other side, MAGA Inc., a Trump-supporting super PAC, has pumped $1 million in spending so far for the Republican candidate, Matt Van Epps, a former Army helicopter pilot who served in combat tours overseas. According to the Associated Press, it's the first time that organization has participated in a campaign since last year's presidential race. And State Representative Afton Ben joins me now. Hello there, candidate.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, did I pronounce your name correctly? It's a cool spelling.
My first name, yes, but my last name's pronounced Bane, like the bane of my opposition's existence.
And that's what you should be. That's what you should be. So in the state of Tennessee, I think people tend to, we've had a lot of guests who come on the show and they talk about the ways in which Democrats tend to write off the South. That is not happening in your race. You've had no less than the former vice president of the United States come down. You're having money pumped in. Why do you think your race is getting that kind of attention?
Yeah, this race is competitive because the Washington Republican agenda has not delivered for working families in Tennessee. Instead, they've sold us out to billionaires, and Tennessee voters feel like they want change, not more of the same. It's an indictment on the federal administration's inability to deliver for working families. And that's why this race has suddenly become really competitive.
And the thing is, what would you, let me ask you what you would do differently, because what do you want to see different than what the outgoing congressman has done?
Well, the former congressman cashed out on his corporate donations and took a very cushy job somewhere in another country. And I would do the exact opposite. I'm a social worker turned community organizer turned legislator who has doubled down in my fight to support my community and affect change in the Tennessee legislature by trying to end the grocery tax. And so I'm someone who digs deep and wants to, be the best advocate for her community possible.
Would you support a bill that would ban stock trading by members of Congress?
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the problem. I mean, this race is one, as you intimated, about special interest money getting involved. And I've been endorsed by End Citizens United. I don't take corporate PAC money. And I agree to all of the, the pro-democratic measures that include banning stock trading for congressional representatives. It's a no-brainer.
What about taking APAC money?
I do not take APAC money.
And do you think that the whole incentive structure in Congress, it has gone from public service, where the House is the closest to the people in terms of House versus Senate, right? You represent a district, people you can meet at the grocery store, and yet it has seemed like a cash grab. We talked at the top of the show about Marjorie Taylor Greene getting to $25 million net worth, investing in Bitcoin, all of it. It does feel in a way like the House is no longer about the people. It is about enriching the personal pocketbooks of members. How do we change that incentive structure?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's pretty disgusting when members walk in and walk out of Congress as millionaires. And so there's a lot of internal measures that need to be passed. And unfortunately, as you said, it is incentivized. But I'm someone who has always been an advocate for pro-democratic reform, especially when it comes to individual members of Congress. And so I would absolutely be against, stock trading or any type of those incentives.
A lot of people have come to know the Tennessee Three, as you know, the Justins and Gloria Johnson, who really fought, with young people, with students about gun reform. Has that come up in your race? Is that an issue that you're dealing with in your district?
No, not at all. It's been about affordability. People are struggling to afford rent. SNAP, as you know, has not fully been restored in the state of Tennessee. We have the highest cost of groceries in the country. It is really tough right now. It is economically really tough for working families in Tennessee. And that's been the issue that I've heard again and again at the doors.
And, Tennessee is one of those states that has the dubious distinction of its Republican majority being against like school meals, school lunches, free school lunches. Like they don't seem to want the money. What is that about?
So one of our campaign theme is feed kids, fix roads, and fund hospitals. Lo and behold, our governor, Republican governor, exploited a federal loophole to allow not to feed kids across 95 counties. And so that was one of the galvanizing moments for me in this race is I can't believe that we've left federal money on the table to feed kids, which should not be political.
You are a social worker, as you said. You're not a rich person. I've done a little bit of reading on you. You're not a multimillionaire. It can't be easy to run for Congress because it is so expensive. I mean, the fact that you had to have like Democratic groups come in and put money in, that is what keeps a lot of rich people in power and a lot of not rich people from running, right? It's the barriers to entry. So can you just walk people through, if people are in the chat that are thinking, I would like to run and I'm not rich, how did you do it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, to be fair, I'm the most broke I've ever been in my life. To run for the Tennessee legislature, I had to take a 2/3 pay cut. I make $26,000 a year as a Tennessee legislature. And so even, that type of seat, it doesn't allow for young people who, want to buy a house in Nashville. I don't have the ability to do that. But I take public service seriously. We have been able to raise a lot of money through grassroots donations, but it's taken a lot of support and political mentorship. And so my advice to you all that want to run for office, that don't come from personal wealth, is to start building your local networks and finding political mentors that can help you access the skill sets to raise money, of which we have. We actually outraised my Republican opponent who is being bankrolled by corporate PACs.
Yeah, and well, of course he is. And like, can you just talk a little bit about because I think a lot of people feel like politics, people have sort of gotten disinterested in it because they feel like nothing actually changes, right? That you vote for somebody and then things don't change. And obviously a member of Congress is one of, 435 members. It's not like you yourself can pass a bill. How do you just look at the prospect of having to go into an environment that is a viper's nest, that is full of lobbyists, that is full of people who are trying to pull at you and saying, hey, I can hit you with $100,000 in your PAC if you'll just do X, Y, and Z. How do you resist that, and how do you plan to resist it?
Well, it's what I've done in the Tennessee legislature. I mean, it's a place that is bought and sold to the highest bidder. Corporate lobbyists run the Tennessee legislature, and I haven't taken corporate PAC money nor ever will. And so for me, my accountability comes from my community and the people that elect me. And so when I go up there, I mean, I'm someone who cannot be bought or sold. I just can't. And I'm not impressed by, multi-million-dollar tickets for stadiums at Super Bowls. It's just not something that's in my political repertoire. And so, I'm someone that is deeply connected to our community, and someone who won't be bankrolled by these special interests, unlike my political opponent, who is bankrolled by the puppet masters of the universe, and that's who he answers to.
It's really discouraging because the idea is that government is supposed to serve the people. And if you're saying that in your little town, which is probably not the most expensive place to live in the world, people still can't afford groceries in America in 2025, like that actually it feels criminal to me.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, one thing I've tried to do in the Tennessee legislature is to end Tennessee's grocery tax by closing corporate loopholes. Right now in Tennessee, multinational corporations pay more of an effective tax rate than a working mom buying baby formula at Kroger. And that's a tragedy. It shouldn't be that way. And that's the type of fight that I'll bring to Congress is, revising our tax code to be in favor of working families rather than rigged against us.
Amen, amen, amen. Afton Bain, good luck to you. I mean, obviously you're doing something right because you got Kamala to come down there and do the Mamala Act on the folks that need to vote. When is the race? When do people need to get out and vote? Give your elevator pitch for why people should get out and vote.
Yeah, if you are upset about the chaos of Washington and the cost of living, then I am your candidate. We have been building a coalition of the disenchanted, of those that are upset, and we welcome you to our fold. You can vote for me and vote for change, or you can vote for my opponent and more of the status quo. Early voting is happening now until Wednesday. We really need Nashville to show up. So if you are in Nashville and haven't voted yet, please, please, please head to the polls. Election day is December 2nd, and I can't wait to shock the nation. I want to say if we win, it'll be because of Black voters, and that will absolutely send a message to the White House.
Oh, well, wait, say more. Now you got to say more. You got to say more. What's the district look like? What is the composition? Black voters make up what percent or what share of the vote? And what's your pitch to them?
Yeah. So if your listeners remember, Nashville was a consolidated Democratic district. And after redistricting, they cut it into 3 Republican districts, and they overreached. And they included the highest voter turnout precincts in North Nashville, which is our historic Black communities. And so if Black voters show up, and they are, we can win this. And it will send a message to not only our Republican supermajority, but Washington Republicans that Black voters are not having it.
Afton Bain. Make her the bane of MAGA's existence and also of the super rich and the billionaire class. Put a regular person in Congress. We need more regular folks in Congress so they can do regular folks things like making you be able to afford your groceries. Afton, good luck to you. Please come back when you win. We want you to be a stop on your victory tour, please.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. There she is, Afton Bain. Jason, can I get a round of applause for Afton? I think she seems like a great candidate. See, that's what we need. We need young, enthusiastic folks who are willing to work for the vote and work for the people. Look, she had me at I would vote to end stock trades by members of Congress because that has to stop. Like the incentive structure is upside down and backwards. All right, we've come to that part of the show where we're going to get to our moment of joy. And our moment of joy actually starts with a troll. Okay. Last Thursday, mean sugar baby Barbie Catherine Levitt had some pretty shady words for the president of South Africa, who remarked on the U.S. boycott of this past weekend's Group of 20 summit in Johannesburg over President Cyril Ramaphosa's criticism of Donald Trump. Ramaphosa told reporters in Johannesburg that the U.S. had indicated that it might be changing its mind on the boycott at the 11th hour and wanted to take part after all. To which the 23-year-old elderly gentleman fan in the West Wing, who Trump reportedly calls honey, had this to say.
Times is reporting that the administration is now sending a U.S. official to the G20. They're sending Mark Dillard. Can you confirm if that is true, and then also explain the shift in?
I'd be happy to explain, because there is not a shift. The United States is not participating in official talks at the G20 in South Africa. I saw the South African president running his mouth a little bit against the United States and the president of the United States earlier today, and that language is not appreciated by the president or his team. The ambassador or the representative of the embassy in South Africa is simply there to recognize that the United States will be the host of the G20. They are receiving that send-off at the end of the event. They are not there to participate in official talks, despite what the South African president is falsely claiming.
Meow. Meow. Huh. Well, guess what? Grandpa McDiapers missed out by not moving his dementia MRIs to South Africa, where he could have done his nursing home dance, this little nursing home side arms dance, to the grooves of South African culture. Here was President Ramaphosa closing what has to have been the funnest G20 summit ever.
Moment of joy, right?
Moment of joy. Here it is. Roll tape.
I now say that this gavel of this G20 summit formally closes this summit and now moves on to the next president of the G20, which is the United States, where we shall see each other again next year. The summit is therefore closed.
Look at that. Look. Hey. That's what I'm talking about. Look, you missed out. America, you didn't want to go to South Africa. You missed the fun. You missed the fun. Donald Trump could have done his, they said they called it the Bubba dance. Ow, the Bubba dance. He could have done his Bubba dance down there. Okay, in South Africa, but you missed out. And guess what, Catherine Levitt? You the one talking smack. You need to really keep the president of South Africa name out your mouth. You horrible little, you're horrible. She's like mean, like elderly man loving Barbie. Horrible, 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 horrible. She's a sugar baby, but also a mean Barbie. But anyway, that was our moment of joy. I would have loved to be there. I think next time when the G20 meets up, please invite us, sister, because I would actually love to go and hang out in South Africa. It is one of the best places ever, right, Jason? We love it. South Africa is a great place. There's lots of stuff to do.
It's nice. I prefer Ghana.
Oh, Shade. You're going to get all the South Africans in the chat.
No, I love South Africa. I just prefer Ghana.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I love me some South Africa, and that was our moment of joy.
Poppy's going to get me.
Yeah, Poppy about to get you. I have family in South Africa,
Yeah,
so
she
Jason
gonna
just
get
messed up.
me.
He just messed up, and they
That's
watched
right.
the show.
I'm starting it, Poppy. Come and get me.
Yes, that's right. Elderly loving man Barbie. People are liking the elderly loving man Barbie. I mean, her husband is like elderly. She's like a sugar baby that's also mean and snaps on people, but she don't know anything. She can't answer questions, and she gonna snap on South Africa. And guess what? You're never gonna be invited to South Africa, ma'am. You're not gonna get to go. You don't get to go. You can't come to the barbecue. You can't come to the barbecue. You are not invited. You cannot go. Just stay in America where you are happy. Thank you for tuning in to the Joy Reid Show. And that's it. Jason, play the song. Oh, don't forget, by the way, to like and subscribe. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And let me know, you guys, in the comments if you guys are enjoying the troll-free experience in the chat.
Yeah, let's see. Let's wait and see what are they saying about
I've been peeking at the chat and enjoying it, and it looks like it's a lot more fun. People are not having to fight.
We got another 30 seconds. Let's
we got
see
another
what
30 seconds.
the trolls will say about no trolls.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got a Joy and Jason forever. We got a peace all. We got lots of people happening. I'm making Mean Girl Barbie. And also, guys, don't forget, if you're buying the shirts and the swag, I will note you that this one says, I'm a reader. There it is. Okay, there it is. Intelligent, informed, compassionate, faithful, and joyful. That's what this shirt says. So if you like that shirt, you can get that at the shop.joyreid.com.
At the shop, y'all.
It's at the shop. Make sure that you tag us if you post it on your socials, because I'm a reader.
Small Business Fridays.
Wanted to wear something fun and wear something positive on this Moral Monday. Thank y'all for tuning in. That's it. Have a great night. And I'll see you on the next The Joy Reid Show. Goodbye.